Y'all remember Highguard? Wouldn't blame me if you didn't, given that the game has gone completely radio silent since its announcement, leaving people wondering what the hell is going on, because this is not normal. So you may recall that during the Game Awards 2025, back in December 11th, 2025, the Game Awards premiered Highguard as the big finale. This was the final announcement that they made. And usually with the Game Awards, the final announcement is a pretty big deal, right? It's that one last thing. People are expecting something pretty grand and something pretty hype. But Highguard, being the way the Game Awards 2025 concluded, really did the game, I think, a disservice, because it really just raised people's expectations through the roof. And what they got instead was a game that many people believe looks somewhat generic. If we scroll down here, you'll see that the likes to dislikes ratio for the world premiere trailer is pretty abysmal. And yeah, just about everyone is lambasting this game. Folks going as far as calling this Concord 2, believing that this is going to be a dead on arrival live service. It's even more scathing if you go to other uploads like this IGN upload of the official reveal trailer. The likes to dislikes ratio is not any better. And yeah, basically people think the game visually just looks kind of generic. And, you know, they said that this is from the creators of Titanfall, or developers who worked on Titanfall, and that had people hyped. But what they found here was just basically another hero shooter. Now, obviously, nobody's gotten to play the game yet, so maybe it'll turn out to be fun. But first impressions wise, people are like, this is yet another of the thing that we've played a million times over. If it was something closer like Titanfall and a spiritual successor of that series, I think people will be pretty hyped. But what we're looking at here is just another hero shooter with, you know, characters with a bunch of abilities and character designs that are box standard for this genre that has not paved the road to the best reception. And we're talking about a game show whose final announcements have ranged anywhere from, you know, Intergalactic, the Heretic Prophet, from Naughty Dog, to, you know, Monster Hunter Wilds, from the now widely popular series, to, you know, Armored Core 6 Fires of Rubicon from Software. That was a pretty momentous occasion. So yeah, the feedback online has been incredibly vicious. And in this video, I'm going to update you on what's happened since, which is not a whole lot. And that's kind of disconcerting. Keep in mind that Highguard comes out on January 26th, 2026. That is 2 weeks as of the recording of this video, January 12th, 2026. You would think that at this stage, we would have seen a lot more marketing for this game, given that it has a lot of ground to cover when it comes to winning back audiences. You'd think they would have shown some kind of like big gameplay overview that really highlights all of the features that, you know, can possibly make this game fun. But there's been nothing of the sort. Now, if you're someone who's frustrated by the state of the games industry and are in the mentality of, fine, I'll do it myself, and want to get educated on the technology that allows you to make games yourself, that brings us to the sponsor of today's video, Triple 10. Triple 10's goal is to provide an intuitive and accessible way to learn the skill sets you need to pursue high-paying jobs in an ever-evolving digital and technological world. Times are tough right now with the current volatile economic landscape and how many employment opportunities currently provide low salaries, lack of flexibility, and a ton of stress. A career in tech, however, tends to be well paid, in demand, flexible when it comes to going remote, and doesn't require a degree, just the skill points that can be granted by Triple 10's boot camps, which let you go hands-on with lessons and full projects right in your browser, covering disciplines such as quality assurance, which gets you paid for finding bugs and stress testing video games and whatnot, UX and UI design to help you design the next killer game interface, software engineering, a pivotal skill in so many areas, and more, all high demand and vital professions to areas like the games industry, with programs even giving students projects with real companies to prepare them for the real deal. Triple 10 is the only bootcamp in the US that provides unlimited externship opportunities even after graduation, with an amazing success rate of 82% of graduates getting hired within 6 months. And if you don't land a job, they offer a 100% money-back guarantee. You don't have to have any prior experience in any of these fields either. Triple 10 is for everyone, including beginners, and it's designed to allow you to go through programs at a pace you're comfortable with. If you're ready for a career upgrade, click my link in the description or scan the QR code and use my code YONGYEAH to unlock a free consultation and get a 30% discount on your tuition. So, start your new game plus today. All right, so back to the recent developments surrounding Highguard, or the lack thereof. Again, this game was announced back in December 11th, 2025. Going to social media pages like Highguard's Twitter account, you'll see that if you look through their page, there is almost nothing here. And their last post was from December 11th, 2025, which is the day that Highguard got announced. All they have here is the announcement trailer and messages surrounding the announcement. That aside, though, they've literally posted absolutely nothing since the game's announcement, and it comes out in 2 weeks. Same thing goes for if you go to their YouTube channel and browse their videos, there's just a single upload here, which is their official reveal trailer from December 11th, 2025. Next up, let's check out their official website, where there's also a whole lot of nothing. If you scroll down here, all you'll find is a countdown that says 15 days until launch. There's some, neat graphics and GIFs and whatnot, but there's nothing here really in the way of information about the game that will allow players to gain better insight into what they can expect with this title. And if there's more to it than the kind of typical hero shooter experience that they saw from the trailer. Because if there's more to Highguard than meets the eye, the trailer certainly didn't do a good job of showing that. So yeah, for the folks who did remember Highguard, the discussion has become, why are we hearing absolutely nothing about this game? What the hell exactly is going on? On social media, we've got folks like Jake Lucky here highlighting how after likely paying 7 figures to debut at the Game Awards, and yes, it's true that, like a couple minutes trailer at the Game Awards can cost millions. Highguard has yet to post anything on social media. The game launches in less than 3 weeks. That was a week ago, back in January 6, 2026. And people are like, oh yeah, what the hell is going on with that game? And people are very curious to see where this goes. But also, Jake makes a good point here. And so yeah, millions of views and tens of thousands of likes. And people just are anticipating that the game will end up failing if this is the level of marketing we're seeing from the title, which is absolutely none. And another week would pass and major outlets like Digzerto are reporting what everyone else is kind of wondering about this game out of just morbid curiosity, I suppose. Digzerto says right here, Highguard haven't posted on social media since the reveal trailer at the Game Awards. The game is set to release in 2 weeks. There are even entire articles calling this whole situation a mystery and discussing what it could mean that we haven't heard a single peep from this game and we're 2 weeks from launch. This kind of complete and utter silence is unprecedented for such a major release, especially when this is an indie development studio from veteran developers who have a lot riding on the success of this title that currently feels like it's doomed to fail because the first impression was just that poor. As for what it means for Highguard to be this completely silent just 2 weeks before launch, for them to have not posted a single social media post or made a single marketing attempt since the trailer that released on December 11th, 2025, since the game's announcement? Well, there are 3 possibilities. The least likely one is, the game got canceled. That is impossible given how close it is to launch. They'll definitely want to release it and hope for the best. The second possibility is that they're just keeping their heads down as they weather out this PR nightmare. Maybe the backlash is so bad that they feel the necessity to just be quiet and then just quote unquote, shadow drop this thing. Though you can't really call it a shadow drop since the game was announced a month prior to its launch. So people are very much aware of Highguard's existence. The issue is that there's a complete lack of interest and also a sense of disappointment that this is the game that Titanfall and Apex Legends developers worked on. But yeah, maybe their train of thought is it's better to keep our heads down and just launch the game without trying too hard to appeal to audiences who have already made up their minds about the game from the trailer, and just let them experience the game and then come out and start promoting the game more as people get acclimated with the game because of the PR damage that's been done. But the issue with that is that you run a very high risk that at launch, people won't know that your game even exists, that people will forget your game if you don't market it. But because of the bad impression that they've already made, even if they marketed the hell out of this game, it's very possible that Highguard will still not garner the audience that it wants because of the fatigue surrounding hero shooters, because there are other live services competing against Highguard. If Highguard doesn't do anything special for it to stand out amongst the competition, then yeah, it's doomed no matter how much they market this title. Now, Highguard is free to play, so people will at least be able to try it and determine for themselves whether this game is fun and does anything outstanding and kind of stands out from the pack in some way, shape, or form. But if Highguard ultimately doesn't end up garnering the level of appeal that the developers wanted to, it being a free-to-play live service means that if players don't engage with it and don't spend money on it, then Highguard is going to die off very quickly. Free-to-play live services in particular rely on huge volumes of players who both play the game and also engage with the monetization. That's the only way free-to-play games make money. And the problem with Highguard right now is that the marketing went so poorly that the interest surrounding this game has utterly tanked. And also the lack of marketing means that people who forgot about this game will probably not remember. Maybe shortly before the game's launch, developers will start marketing this game. Maybe they'll release some kind of like gameplay overview that really highlights the features that make this game a little more special. And maybe that will get people more hyped if they show some unique elements and some things that make us go, okay, there's something more here than your other hero shooters. And that trailer will have to impress big time in order for them to be able to completely flip the narrative surrounding this game. And I just don't see that happening unless they really kept their cards close to their chest with that trailer and they really showed absolutely nothing. And then there's a third possibility that maybe Highguard got delayed, which is why the developers don't feel the need to market this game heavily, though the fact that they haven't announced a delay and we're 2 weeks out from launch is sus if it is the case that they're planning to delay this game. And also, even if they do delay the game, will that actually help in selling this game to the masses? Will that help win back perception? Like, what would the delay be used for? What would they do to the game to try to make it something more presentable that will get people hyped for this? Will they overhaul aspects of the game, the visuals, the gameplay? Like, I don't know if there is a need for that or the possibility of that because the game is what it is. And it being announced so close to launch means that Highguard is likely pretty much complete. And because they haven't shown much of the game, like, what is there to overhaul that will allow people to perceive Highguard as overhauled if that were to happen? Given that people don't even know what is being overhauled because not much of the game has been shown at all outside of that one gameplay trailer. And that's the thing with Highguard. It feels like it's caught between a rock and a hard place where no matter what they do, they cannot win back audiences unless the game itself proves to be so fun and so compelling and so much more than people were expecting based on what they saw in the trailer, that word of mouth begins to spread positively and slowly we start to see people trickle into this game until it blows up. If the possibility of that exists, if Highguard truly is more than what we were shown. The odds of that for me don't seem particularly high, but I don't know. I've been surprised before. So maybe the developers of Highguard, you know, the folks who worked on games like Titanfall and Apex Legends will somehow be able to pull it off. But I don't know. This whole situation is just weird. It just doesn't make for a good impression when you don't talk about your game at all since announcement and you're 2 weeks away from launch. It either makes people nervous about, you know, the status of this product. It just creates a sense of ominous foreboding when you go radio silent and you're 2 weeks before launch, because that is truly unprecedented. Normally, especially if you're a brand new studio who are releasing their first game, you want to, you know, let as many people as possible know that your game is coming out. But you'd be hard-pressed to know that this game even exists. You'd be hard-pressed to remember that it was even announced due to how radio silent this has been, combined with how little hype there is surrounding this title. But I suppose only time will tell how all this will pan out. I'd love to hear what your thoughts and opinions are and why you think Highguard hasn't said a thing, hasn't done a single bit of marketing since the game's announcement trailer back at the Game Awards 2025. Share your thoughts in the comments below, and to be further updated on all things gaming news, reviews, and discussions, stay tuned right here on Young Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Yongao.